Chrystia, could you tell me why Saudi Arabia gets a pass on your carbon tax? Keean Bexte for Rebel News in Calgary, Alberta, outside of the McDougall Centre, where the new Deputy Prime Minister, in very large air quotes there, Chrystia Freeland, is meeting with Premier Jason Kenney. Jason Kenney, I'm sure, wants to talk about his Fair Deal panel and his recent trip to Ottawa. Chrystia Freeland is running around Alberta right now from Edmonton to Calgary to Grand Prairie on a mission that looks like just one of all talk and no action. The Trudeau government wants to save face in Alberta, make it look like they're doing a lot, but when it comes down to it, it's hard to name any concrete thing that Justin Trudeau is doing for Alberta. I shouldn't say Justin Trudeau. Chrystia Freeland is really running the show now. I have different questions that I want to ask. I want to ask why Saudi Arabia gets a pass on Trudeau's carbon tax. Trudeau is favoring OPEC workers, OPEC regimes. The leaders of these OPEC countries who are directly profiting from their oil and gas companies aren't being taxed when their shipments land on Canadian soil. Now, I don't think that there should be a carbon tax, but I certainly don't think that OPEC should get off the hook when Albertan farmers and Albertan companies are closing up shop because of Trudeau's carbon tax. I had the opportunity to ask Chrystia Freeland that question as she arrived to the meeting about 15 minutes late. She walked in behind media and nobody really noticed her except for me. I asked her this question. Chrystia, could you tell me why Saudi Arabia gets a pass on your carbon tax? Now, she didn't answer there, but I'm waiting around for when she leaves the meeting. I've kind of deduced where she's parked, so I think if I wait for her here, I'll be able to ask her more questions. Let's see if we can find her. I wasn't able to catch Chrystia as she left. Unfortunately, she left through the underground garage. She didn't want to talk to me for a second time, but it's okay because I spoke to her Minister of Environment and Climate Change. He was at the University of Calgary, and I asked him very similar questions, and the responses, I imagine, would have been pretty similar. Listen to this. So you're still fighting on the constitutionality of the carbon tax in general. Why don't you direct those efforts towards Saudi Arabia and just tax the blood oil that's coming from Saudi Arabia?
Again, I would say I think all Canadians would agree that pollution should not be free. We have made the decision that one of the elements of the pan-Canadian approach to fighting climate change and promoting clean growth is a price on pollution. You ask 100 economists, 99.5 of them will tell you it's the most efficient market-based mechanism for addressing and reducing carbon emissions. That is something that we were very clear about during the past campaign, and that is what we continue to be committed to doing.
Chrystia Freeland and Justin Trudeau, their government is out of touch with Albertans. She opened this media availability by speaking in French. Listen to this. Not a single person, aside from maybe Jason Kenney, understood what she was saying, but of course she had to virtue signal. Saudi Arabia continues to get a pass on our carbon tax, and we have to ask why that is. Is it because the majority of their oil goes to Quebec? And if a carbon tax was added to Saudi oil, well, gasoline prices in Quebec would skyrocket. But here in Alberta and British Columbia, where mostly we use our own oil, we can be taxed, our oil can be taxed because we're not voting for Trudeau's government anyways. So why be lenient on us? For Rebel News, at the McDougall Centre in Calgary, Alberta, I'm Keean Bexte. Thanks so much for watching our coverage here at Rebel News. Be sure to like and subscribe to us here on YouTube and maybe consider purchasing yourself a premium subscription. You can do that at rebelnews.com.